The action starts with a lonely boy, Simon, returning to school and narrating that the summer is over and it's time to get back to class. He narrates that a lot of things have happened the previous year and he exposed everything, which made many couples break up, adding that privacy is something that belongs to the past. He continues his narration by saying that he knows everything that happened this summer as well, and he will expose everything on Friday night, but till then, he wants to tease his readers, and says that the revelations will be about 4 students, whom we also get to meet as Simon hints their secrets. Bronwyn, a straight-A student, Cooper, a star player's locker room secret, Addie, a girl that has an eye for other girls' boyfriends, and Nate, the Bayview's bad boy. Finally, he narrates that returning back to school sucks, but he promises that it is not going to be boring because his app about that is going to be quite active. The students gather in the school cafeteria and Simon sits with his friend Janae and opens his computer. He narrates that he can't wait till Friday to write something good and publishes an article on about that for the new girl, FJ, revealing that she was kicked out of her old school because she stabbed her teacher on the back and she should have been jailed if it wasn't for her rich father. Later on, Simon and the students that he will expose on Friday are sent to detention. The teacher, Miss Avery, has to leave the room when she sees some students from another school trash the property and the kids are left alone. Simon presents a provocative attitude towards the other students while he grabs some water from the cooler. In a matter of seconds, Simon starts coughing and he collapses on the floor. The rest of the students mention that Simon is allergic and they go through his bag to find his epinephrine shot, but it's not there. Addie freezes and is in shock while the other kids call an ambulance, which eventually takes Simon away. Addie runs to her boyfriend Jake and feels bad about not being able to help Simon, mentioning that everybody knew what to do but she did nothing. Cooper hits the gym and his girlfriend Keely pays him a visit, telling him if he knows anything about what will Simon reveal on Friday about a jock's locker room secret. Cooper replies that all the jocks did something stupid in the summer so she should not worry about it. Bronwyn is sitting alone, feeling horrible about what happened in detention, until Nate parks his bike near her and they have a talk. She tells Nate she is so sorry about his mother, and Nate comments that death makes people think more about death. Nate gives Bronwyn a ride home and she tries to get closer to her, but Bronwyn receives a phone call from her mother. Her expression changes when she hears that Simon is dead, and she also lets Nate know about it. The next day at school, the principal announces that Simon is dead and his friend Janae tries to cope with it. She stops Addie in the corridor and asks her if it was bad for Simon and if they did anything to help him. The 4 students that were present in the incident are called by the principal and she introduces them to Officer Miller, who has come to gather some information on the case. She makes clear that speaking with Miller is voluntary, but it would help the case if they did. The students wonder why they call it a case, and Miller explains that Simon died of anaphylactic shock because, as it was found, there was peanut oil in the water he drank from the cooler. In addition, his epinephrine shot was missing from his bag, and there was also no epinephrine shot in the school's infirmary like it was supposed to. Miller has a talk with all of them and asks them various questions, such as if they had any unresolved differences with Simon or if they were afraid that Simon would reveal any of their secrets. When she is done, she gathers them in the hall and asks them if they have any idea where Simon's bag and laptop are, which makes Nate turn his head towards Bronwyn because he knows she was the one who took his stuff from the detention room. Bronwyn keeps a straight face and has no intention of telling that she has his stuff, resulting in Nate trying to cover up for her and saying that Simon's stuff probably got picked up by the medics. However, Miller knows that the medics didn't pick up Simon's stuff. In the evening, Nate visits Bronwyn's house and tells her that she should have probably told the police that she has Simon's bag. Bronwyn says she doesn't have it, but Nate is not convinced. Bronwyn tells him that if she had the bag, it would be because Simon lives across the street. And Nate says that if she had the bag, she should have given it to Simon's parents and hoped they would give her the benefit of the doubt. Meanwhile, Cooper returns back home and finds Keely eating with his family. Later, we see him keeping a straight and worried face until his brother Lucas walks in, and Cooper says he thinks he is never going to have a chance in baseball because the sport is quite homophobic. Lucas says he has to tell Keely the truth, and Cooper replies Keely already knows the truth about him and she was the first person he talked to about his sexual orientation. The next day, Cooper and Keely spend some more time with their friends in a jacuzzi until Addie excuses herself and goes to the bathroom. Her friend's boyfriend, TJ, follows her and wants to have a chat with her. Addie says Simon's post would also include her cheating story, but her secret died with him, and threatens TJ that he will regret it if anyone else hears about it. The school wants to pay tribute to Simon on the football game later the same night, and the principal calls Janae on the podium to sing the national anthem, but instead, she sings an improvised song that shocks the school. When the game is finished, a new post is uploaded on about that by someone anonymous. who confesses that he or she killed Simon, but they are not going to get caught because they killed someone everybody hated. Bronwyn runs to check on the trunk of her parents' car, where she hid Simon's bag, but the bag and his laptop are gone. The next day, the kids go about their normal routines. Addie meets with Jake before school, and Cooper goes for a run before meeting with his secret boyfriend. Bronwyn waits for Nate at school and blames him for stealing the laptop from her, but Nate says it wasn't him and probably her parents found it. Later, the students are in class, but the principal gathers the 4 suspects in the hallway. Detective Wheeler is waiting, and she tells Addie to open her locker so she could take a look inside. Addie is worried and asks what if someone planted some evidence that would make her appear to be guilty. Wheeler tells her she has nothing to worry about if she is innocent, and Addie hesitantly opens her locker. Wheeler finds some peanut oil inside, but Addie says she only uses it to moisturize her skin. Wheeler takes the kids into another room and says someone took Simon's laptop from the detention room, which was in the library. Bronwyn taps her foot relentlessly, and Nate touches her hand to calm her down, which makes Bronwyn want to turn the conversation towards Addie, because the peanut oil was found in her locker. Detective Wheeler says this is a murder case and she is a homicide detective. She outlines what happened by saying that the peanut oil in Simon's water was thrown in a capsule form, not liquid. And since the teacher walked out and they saw nobody else coming in or going out, it must be one of them that did it. The kids talk to each other and discuss how they got detention. Bronwyn did because a stranger's cell phone was in her bag and rang in class. Addie did because her phone's alarm clock rang without being set for that time. Nate was late for class because he couldn't open his locker, and Cooper was late for class because he couldn't find his phone after his practice in the gym. Bronwyn tells Nate she thinks someone is pulling the strings and set them up, while another post goes live on about that and informs the whole school the peanut oil was found in Addie's locker. A memorial takes place in Simon's house and seems like everyone is present. Addie gets the perfect chance to sneak into his room and search for Simon's notebook, but soon she hears noises and hides under a table. Simon's mother has a talk with Wheeler, who says that whoever is posting on about that is using a VPN to cover their tracks, and they know what they're doing. Additionally, the peanut oil found in Addie's locker was tested, but it doesn't match the peanut oil used to kill Simon. However, one thing is for sure, that one of the kids did it. Moments later, Bronwyn gets the kids together and tells them that teacher Avery was the one who set them all in detention, and maybe she was the one who set them up. The kids set up a new meeting later that night, and Bronwyn says that they can all agree they didn't work together to kill Simon, but maybe they should work together now and uncover this mystery. Things get tense among them, and Addie admits that she has a secret she wants to safeguard, and that she cheated on Jake last summer. She starts crying because she thinks that everybody will blame her since she has a motive, but Nate comforts her and says it is not a motive if people don't know about it. However, a new post goes live on about that and reveals that Addie cheated on Jake last summer. While Bronwyn hovers around her house, a transition takes us in her sister's room, Maeve, where we see her having Simon's laptop on her lap. The next day, Addie is not in the mood for cheap jokes and demonstrations of compassion, and the only thing she wants to do is to find Jake and make things right, while looking around school for him. TJ gets at her and promises he didn't tell anything to anyone. Jake joins them and asks TJ if he is the one with whom Addie cheated with. Jake jumps at him and they start fighting until Cooper gets on the way and stops Jake, which also results in him hurting his shoulder. A new post goes live on about that, and the author takes pride in setting up a good show for the school, but they won't stop there. The post exposes Nate this time by saying they already know he sells drugs, but last summer he sold drugs to a girl that almost died from using it. The author also wonders if this revelation is going to send Nate in jail. The kids get together once more, and Addie comments that they can be sure Nate and herself are not the ones posting on about that since they already got burned. That same night, Bronwyn has a dinner with her family when her sister Maeve starts bleeding, and Bronwyn runs in her room to get her bag, but finds much more that she would hope for since Simon's laptop is in her closet. Bronwyn tells Nate about it the next day, and he suggests they go back in Maeve's room to take it since she is in the hospital. A new post appears on about that and states that Cooper uses some performance-enhancing drugs, which actually makes Keely happy because she assumes Simon didn't know Cooper is homosexual. Nate and Bronwyn enter Maeve's room, but her father has returned to get her laptop since Maeve insisted to do her homework while she's in the hospital. Later on, Cooper spends some time with his boyfriend Chris, who is massaging his injured shoulder. Someone knocks on the door and Chris says it's just the guy he buys drugs from, but Cooper hides in the closet once he realizes that the guy is Nate. Bronwyn confronts her about stealing Simon's laptop from her and posting on about that, but Maeve says she is trying to help her by hacking into the app and preventing her secret going public, but it is too late since a new post makes its appearance and reveals that Bronwyn is such a good student because she stole the chemistry's test answers from her teacher's cabinet. Addie meets with Bronwyn and asks her how she feels before informing her that she stole Janae's phone and took a look through her messages without finding anything weird or unusual. To the contrary, she thinks Janae was trying to convince Simon to shut about that down. Cooper meets with Nate, and he has asked him for some painkillers in order to be able to perform. Nate gives him what he wants, but tells him this is a one-time gig since he doesn't sell painkillers. The baseball game starts, and Cooper has an excellent performance while Bronwyn admits to her parents that she cheated on the test because she couldn't get it right on her own. The baseball game ends and Cooper has nailed it. His people get on the field with him, and since everybody is watching, Keeley kisses him. Chris sees him and walks away, but Cooper runs behind him and tells him he only pretends to have a girlfriend because he needs to preserve his straight persona. Chris is disappointed at him because he would expect the people close to Cooper to know the truth, and he thought the lying would only take place to his teammates and baseball people. Chris drives away, and we see that Detective Wheeler has heard their whole conversation. Subscribe to see more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.